Hi everybody, I think we're live. We're live? Thumbs up, good. If you're there, send me a like. Let me know that you're online with me. I love live video. It's always a bit chaotic. There's always a few bloopers, but that's okay. Today I've got something incredibly important to share with you. After 20 years of working as a weight loss coach, I know that there are so many myths out there that I felt that it was time that I put a presentation together, a short presentation to kind of let you really understand the big picture of what's really going on with this yo-yo dieting. So if you're stuck in that cycle, and you're desperate to find the answers and you're just not quite sure of what to do next, who to listen to, I promise you what I'm about to share with you could be absolutely life-changing for you. I'm going to share with you the number one cause of weight gain and the two biggest myths the diet and fitness industry do not want you to know. This is really, really, really important information. And if you make a comment in the comment section here, I will send you some PDFs and some information on how you can actually get out of this cycle. So here we go. What is the number one cause of weight gain? Well, this is going to be interesting, me trying to do this in a live, but here we go. The number one cause of weight gain is stress, and I like to call this the stress hormone weight gain loop, and I'm going to explain to you in a few seconds exactly what that is. But basically we have three major types of stress that happen in the body. We have dietary stress, and this is very much to do with high insulin index foods. These are foods that really spike the hormone insulin. Now, as you'll learn in the next couple of minutes, the hormone insulin is the fat storage hormone. When insulin's high, it is sending a signal to your body to store fat. So it's really not our best friend. We want to keep our dietary stress as low as possible, which means having low insulin index foods. The other type of stress obviously is lifestyle. You know, the money worries, the career, the relationships, the lack of sleep, those types of things, the worries and the stresses, and things that sometimes we cannot change. The third type of stress is psychological stress, and this is kind of our mental, spiritual stress, how we deal with life, how we cope with life. Part of that is our blueprints. We all have a blueprint in life, the way we think it should be, and sometimes that is not matched by reality. So that can cause a lot of psychological stress in our body too. Now, the problem with these three things is that what they do is they signal the fight or flight response. So what happens is that these stresses come into the body, our body perceives a threat, it signals this hormone cortisol, and that stimulates the adrenaline in the body, and you end up in this massive fight or flight response. What happens biochemically though is that glucose, and basically sugar, is now sent out into the extremity muscles, into the muscles in your arms or legs, because your body thinks that it has to either fight to cope with the stress or flee and run as fast as it can. And that's kind of a primitive thing. That's how we've evolved. However, what happens is this up-regulates the sugar glucose issue in our body, and we end up having unstable blood sugar levels. So during times of excessive stress, this is kind of one of the major problems, we end up with this unstable glucose, and that results in something called insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is the biggest, most number one cause of weight gain. So I'll explain very quickly what that is. And if you want to know more about this, just make a comment in the feed and I will send you these fantastic PDFs that I've got. So insulin is known as the fat hormone, but I'm going to explain it to you really, really quickly because I think it's so important that you understand exactly what it is. Basically, on the cells, insulin, as we consume our foods, our foods are converted into glucose, and the hormone insulin rises in response to that, and it bonds with the glucose, and its job is to basically be like the key to the wall. So insulin comes along, it knocks on the door of the cell, and then the cell, or these things we call receptor sites, open up the cell wall and allow glucose to flood into the body cells. Now, if we have too much glucose at one time, the cells become very full. And so insulin continues to knock, but the cells are full. And what happens at that point is the cells go, I'm full, go away. And so what happens is that insulin then will take these glucose molecules and convert them into fat. And that is basically how you store body fat. So insulin is very much the fat storage hormone. The problem with that is that over time, when we continue with these high carbohydrate diets and too much insulin in our body, what happens is that we're storing fat, we're in this major kind of fat storage mode, and the cells become resistant to the effects of insulin, basically because we've got so much sugar circulating in our body at one point that the cells are full and they just kind of get sick of it. So this repeated kind of knocking on the door of the cell walls from insulin, the cells become desensitized to that effect. They just kind of get a bit sick of it. And what happens over time, unfortunately, is that the body then becomes insulin resistant. The problem with that is now we don't have enough insulin circulating in our body to do the proper job, which is to transport glucose inside the cells. And so what does the body do? It signals the body to produce even more insulin. And this is what happens when we have unstable blood sugar levels and certainly leading towards type 2 diabetes, which in the Western world today, this is a major problem. This is certainly a problem that's affecting majority of people today. One of the ongoing effects of that is we then become resistant to leptin, and I'm not going to get too much into leptin in this live because we've got a bit to get through, and I don't want to hold you up because I know your time's precious. But leptin is basically the, we call it the energy expenditure hormone, but really it's the appetite suppressant. Now, if your body is resistant to insulin, it then becomes resistant to the hormone leptin. So what happens is that it drives hunger, it stimulates hunger. There's this hormone called ghrelin, and that is the appetite hormone, and it kind of elevates all of that. So all of a sudden you're hungry all the time, and your energy levels are fluctuating across the day because you have unstable blood sugar levels. And the problem with that is you keep storing fat. So you end up in this massive store fat. It's like turning on the light switch. Turn on the switch to store fat, eat more, store fat. And what happens over time is your body set point increases. So if you stay with me just for a few minutes, I'm going to explain to you exactly what this body set point is. So let's move on. Here we go. So as we kind of get to this point where we are now storing fat, we're not feeling that fantastic, our energy levels are quite low, what do? We take action, right? We think, right, it's time to get this under control. I've gained, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds. It's time to get this under control. So what we do is we turn to the conventional advice. And this conventional advice has been around for 50 plus years, and that is to eat less and move more, exercise more. But what I'm about to share with you is why those two things are majorly flawed, why they don't work in practice, and if that's your strategy, you are doomed to fail, okay? Because eating less can actually cause more harm. It will slow down the metabolism. I'll get to that in a second. The other side of it is that exercise has been scientifically proven now to not be an effective form of weight loss. It's not a weight loss strategy. So let me get to the details of that, because you're probably going, what the heck? This woman is telling me everything I've ever learned. Eat less, move more. That's the strategy. But if that worked, do you really think we'd have this massive obesity epidemic? Do you really think that your efforts in the past to exercise more and eat less would have worked? They might work for a certain period of time, but then they stop working. And then as soon as you stop exercising or you eat more, your body set point kind of recalibrates and things go haywire again. So let me just go into this whole eat less calorie myth, because this is major and I really, really want you to understand this information. Basically what happens when you eat less is that your basal metabolic rate or your metabolism lowers. So this is a problem. So what happens is that it basically registers that there's a famine, so it slows everything down. This can affect your thyroid, all sorts of hormones can go out in the body, but basically you end up feeling cold, tired, sluggish, fatigued. So reducing calories in also reduces calories out. So it really doesn't actually work as a long-term strategy. The other thing that it doesn't do is reducing calories won't break that insulin resistance or leptin resistance. It doesn't fix this core problem. So it's not actually telling your body to stop storing fat. It's just kind of like a band-aid effect that works temporarily. In fact, it works temporarily until your basal metabolic rate drops, and that's where weight loss plateaus kick in. The other thing is that it actually results in this yo-yo dieting because your body set point does not change Okay, it's not actually going to change. What happens is as soon as you start eating any excessive calories again, the body's going to go straight back. And that's the yo-yo dieting cycle that you're all in, that I know you want to get off. So if you stay with me for a couple of minutes, I'll tell you exactly how to break that. And if you make a comment in the feed here, I'll be able to send you some information and PDFs on exactly how you can break out of that cycle. The other side of it is that this hormone ghrelin, I like to call it gremlin. It is like a gremlin. It stimulates hunger. It's telling the brain, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. That gets stimulated when you start eating less. And also stress. It becomes a stress in the body. The body thinks we're coming into famine. We're coming into starvation mode. So that puts a stress on the body as well. So it doesn't help you break what I call the stress hormone weight gain loop. So let's go in. Here's the thing you need to understand about this whole calorie in, calorie out philosophy. Calories are not calories. A calorie is a calorie outside of the body, okay? This is a thing that scientists came up. Basically, they took a piece of food and they burnt it and they realized how much energy was in it. As soon as the body receives food, the body doesn't have receptor sites for calories. Your body doesn't understand what a calorie is. What your body actually understands is macronutrients. It understands fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and based upon those things, your body then produces various hormones in response to that. So put it this way, 100 calories of sugar will basically activate a massive spike in insulin, which signals the body to store fat. It switches you into this fat storage mode. Whereas 100 calories of fat, for instance, will have zero impact on insulin. It won't actually signal the body to store extra fat. So what basically we've got going on here is that sugars signal you to store fat, store fat, store fat, and fat, for instance, or some other proteins and green leafy vegetables. There are things that don't spike insulin so high. But you know, these healthy foods basically tell the body to burn fat, burn fat, burn fat, which is what we want, because we have to get off that cycle of just feeling fatigued and low in energy and it not working, right? So I can see lots of comments coming in. If you do make a comment, I will send you a mini training, PDFs on what I'm talking about into a little bit more detail. So basically what we've got is we've got two options of how our body actually works. We have glucose versus fat metabolism. So I want to explain this very, very quickly because there's a lot of myths around what I'm about to tell you as well. Basically what happens is that when we have a rise in glucose, insulin rises in response to that and it will take it inside the cell wall, and glucose then is converted through something called mitochondria, which is basically, if you think of mitochondria, they're like kind of little caterpillar-y looking things. They are the energy powerhouse. They're your nuclear power plant in the body. They produce the energy. The more mitochondria you have, the healthier you are, the more alive you feel, the more mental alertness you have. They really are one of the absolute core principles of good health. So what happens is that glucose is converted through the mitochondria into something called ATP for energy. Okay, this is the energy source. The other alternative though, because what happens in this situation is that this can increase insulin, signal the body to store fat. It creates unstable energy levels. These are the energy level fluctuations across the day. This is where you might need a nana nap mid-afternoon. And of course it stimulates hunger. But there is another alternative, okay? The other side of this is that if we go into something called fat metabolism, and I'll explain exactly how to do that in a moment and what that is. Basically what happens is that instead of fueling our body by glucose, we're able to fuel our body with something called ketones, which are converted through the liver. Fat basically is converted through the liver into these things called ketone bodies. Just so that you understand, this is a natural metabolic shift that the body makes. Babies are born in what's called ketosis. Breast milk is a ketogenic food, and we have designed or basically evolved over a couple of millions of years, basically been able to adapt into this fat burning phase. It's our natural state. We should go from fat storage to fat burning, fat storage to fat burning. That's what sustains life. But unfortunately in today's society, we never actually get into this burn fat mode because there's so much food in our environment and it's the wrong types of food. So the other alternative here, rather than fueling the body through glucose, is to basically fuel it through fat. Now, what you're wanting to do to lose weight is to burn stored fat, right? You've got this plentiful supply of this fat on the body, and you want to be able to access that. So there is a way that you can actually switch on that fat burning mode. And what happens is that the mitochondria then take those fat cells, convert it into ATP for energy. And there are some amazing health benefits that come from that. Basically, you end up with huge amounts of mental clarity and loads of energy. It also stimulates something called brain-derived neurotropic factor. We call it BDNF. What that is that when the brain is learning new things, it creates these neural networks, these new pathways of learning, and it makes us more intelligent. And BDNF is basically one of those key factors in kind of keeping us young and pliable. The other side to burning fat as fuel is that you have less free radical damage, because when you convert glucose into this ATP, there's a lot of free radical damage, which means that your body has a much higher increased need or requirement for antioxidants through your fruits and vegetables and foods like that. But when you're actually fat adapted, your body doesn't have that same level of burden. The other side of it is that this kills inflammation. Ketones kill inflammation in the body. So let me explain a little bit more about what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about something called nutritional ketosis. Now, there are so many myths circulating the world on nutritional ketosis. I get thousands of emails. I've got hundreds of thousands of people in my database, and I get so many emails every week about what is going on with nutritional ketosis. There's these myths, there's all these gym junkies online promoting these programs and things like that. But I've been doing this myself for 18 years, so I've got a little bit of an insight here. Okay, so let me tell you what nutritional ketosis is not. It is not starvation mode. Calorie restriction is starvation mode. Nutritional ketosis is not starvation mode, because when you fat adapt and your body goes into this state of actually burning its stored fat, it's not stressed, because it's registering, hey, I've got all this stored fat. Yay, I've got all this energy. If I need calories, if I need energy, I will grab that stored fat and convert it into the energy that's required. So it's not starvation mode. It does not lower thyroid function. People think that it does. It does not lower thyroid function. It does not. It protects metabolism, in fact. So it's going to help protect your metabolism. It's not going to drop like it does on normal calorie restriction. The other side of it is it's not a high fat, high protein diet. Now, traditionally, people think that ketogenic diets are high fat. Now, I have worked, last year I was fortunate enough to be involved in one of the world's most pivotal double-blinded controlled dietary studies. We did a low-fat diet comparison to the ketogenic diet for Parkinson's, and that paper is about to be published, and it was hugely successful. And what we know, and I've worked with oncologists for years in the field of cancer and epilepsy, and have a lot to do with the medical profession and supporting their patients in this nutritional ketogenic state. Depending on what your outcome is, whether it's cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, it depends on the fat ratio. But for fat loss, you don't want a high-fat ketogenic diet. It doesn't work. So if you've tried it before and it hasn't worked for you, this is why. The world of ketosis out there, people don't really understand how this works for weight loss and what to do, but I've figured this out. So the ketogenic diet is actually not a weight loss diet. It's actually a medical diet that's used. It's been used for over 60 years medically, but ketones on their own do not result in weight loss. And that's something really important that you need to understand. You need to know how to implement the right strategies in order for it to result in weight loss, because it can. You've just got to know what you're doing. So basically, what it does do, nutritional ketosis, is it shuts down this excessive insulin production. It actually turns the body switch off from store fat mode into burn fat mode. And that's absolutely incredible when we know that the body has the capability to be able to do that. It corrects insulin and leptin resistance. So it breaks you out of that cycle. So all of a sudden, your body is now sensitized to these hormones. Your body starts restoring its order in a sense, and it starts working a lot more. I can see lots of comments coming in. I know this is great information, right? If you make a comment here, just make make sure you make a comment here and I'll keep you updated, and I can send you some more information on this stuff and tell you exactly how you can break out of that cycle. So when combined with a fat cycling, this is the key, fat cycling, understanding how much fat to have and when to have it, it will result in weight loss, and you will reset your body set point. So body weight set point, I'm going to come to that in just a minute. First of all, I think it's really, really important that I just absolutely squash this whole myth around exercise, because you're probably one of these people that you've tried exercise as a strategy, but there are some major flaws in that if your body's not ready for that. Okay, exercise is fantastic, don't get me wrong. I'm training for the New York Marathon next year. I'm not anti-exercise, but it's not a weight loss strategy. So here's the thing that you need to understand what exercise does and how actually it could do more harm than good in your efforts to try and lose weight. It stimulates ghrelin, the hunger hormone. So all of a sudden, what we know from long-term studies is that people actually end up eating more when they exercise. It also can dramatically increase inflammation. Now, inflammation, to put it into perspective, is responsible for about 80% of chronic disease. So when I mention inflammation here, it's not to be undermined. It's hugely, hugely important. So inflammation basically prevents weight loss from happening. The body goes into this kind of lockdown mode, into this preservation mode, and we kind of struggle to lose weight. It also exacerbates the stress hormone cycle. So you get stuck in that stress hormone weight gain loop. It really does boost up cortisol and adrenaline and puts you into that fight or flight response if your body's not primed and conditioned for it, okay? So basically, let me just go into this, because I know there's probably personal trainers and people out there watching me going, what the heck is this woman on about? Okay, let me just put this into perspective and give you some facts that I think might, I'm asking you to be open-minded here. Basically, the BMR myth is this, that per pound, there is very little difference in this basal metabolic rate, which is basically how much energy your body is burning in a 24-hour rest period. And one of the philosophies with exercise is that if we build up our muscle, then we're going to be burning a lot more calories at rest than we would with fat. But it's actually so minute. Here's the facts. Basically, fat burns 3 calories per pound and muscle burns 10 calories per pound. There's a 7 calorie per pound difference. You know what I think of calories, but anyway, we'll just stick with that for this philosophy. 7 calories per pound. Now, if you as a woman were to work out as a bodybuilder and do 5 strength training sessions hardcore every week for a year, you may be able to gain between 4 to 6 pounds of muscle. That would be your muscle gain over that year. This basically equates to about 35 calories a day. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's a piece of fruit. But somehow in our mind we think that if we're working out and we're fitter and things like that, that we're going to be able to eat more. It doesn't work like that. Basically, with the energy in, energy out philosophy, is that food is your only thing you've got control over. That is 100% of the energy coming in. What is controlled with the energy out, the maximum you can burn off with exercise is 20%. It's not an equal equation. So that's where we've got it totally wrong. Now, if you don't believe me, I want to go into something a little bit. I'll just explain that very, very quickly. So basically, that we have this body weight set point. This is really important information I'm about to tell you. We have this body weight set point. And basically, if you imagine, it's like a seesaw in the body, okay? And if we reduce calories, our metabolism goes down, our hunger and starvation mode goes up, okay? So we know that that doesn't work, because as soon as homeostasis is your body's natural desire and ability to come back to balance. So as soon as we alter our caloric intake, it's going to find its set point. It's going to regain that weight that you've lost, which is this yo-yo dieting thing, right? So basically what we've got with this whole BMR myth is that we've got 65 to 70% of the basal metabolic rate is actually controlled by genetics. It's not controlled by exercise. It's actually controlled by genetics, your age, your gender, all those sorts of factors. And actually only maximum 9 to 15% maximum can actually be controlled, maybe up to 20%, can be controlled by exercise alone. Diet, however, can affect this basal metabolic rate, and there's these other kind of factors here, and I can send you a little mini training on this later if you make a comment here. I can't get into too much detail, but basically 30 to 40% actually up to 55% of your metabolism can be controlled through what you eat. It's absolutely important, it's critical. So anyway, if you want more information on that, I'll film another little video for you and I can send it to you if you make a comment in the link here. So if you don't believe me yet on the whole exercise myth, I'm going to give you the big one. I'm going to pull out the big guns here. This was, what I'm referring to here is something called the Women's Health Study. It's the most ambitious study ever been done, one of the most expensive dietary studies. In fact, I think it is the most expensive dietary study ever done. And it was basically involving nearly 40,000 women over a 10-year period, and they tracked them. And there was lots of different things that they looked at, but basically when it comes to exercise, they split the women into 3 groups. There was a high intensity group that was exercising over an hour a day. There was a medium and a low. Basically the low was not doing too much, you know. And basically after 10 years, this is going to really rock your socks. We're going to have something called cognitive dissonance here where we're not actually going to believe this. But after 10 years, there was no, the high intensity exercise group had no additional weight loss, and the researchers noted there was no change in body composition compared to the low intensity group. Can you understand what I'm saying here? After 10 years of these women exercising every day, there was no difference in their weight or their body composition. I mean, I don't even understand that myself, but what I do know through understanding how the body adjusts is that the more exercise we do, the body adjusts. The more or less calories we consume, the body starts adjusting. So these strategies, we've had them all wrong. We know this now. Also, a 300 calorie reduction was put into one of these groups, and over 7 years did not actually result in any weight loss. That's right, thousands of women were put on a 300 calorie a day deficit compared to the other groups. After 7 years, no difference in weight. That's because your body's going to adjust. It's going to adjust. So starving yourselves, girls, is not the answer. It really isn't. So let me explain very quickly what I call the stress hormone weight gain loop. Basically what happens is we've got all those stresses coming in. You know what I was saying before, the psychological, the lifestyle, dietary, and even the physical stress of obesity and exercise. These stresses come in. What it does is it upregulates cortisol. It stimulates the stress hormone into fight or flight response. That over time leads to unstable blood sugar, which leads to insulin resistance. So your body's no longer responding to insulin, which leads to leptin resistance. So you're hungry all the time, you're fatigued, your energy's going like this, you're needing nana naps, and all those sorts of things. And over time what happens is the imbalance of these two things starts raising that body set point. So over 10, 20, 30 years, you now have a body set point that's probably 30, 40, 50 pounds above where it should be. So what do we do to get off that? It leads to obesity. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the cycle that I know most women are in. And that bothers me because there is a way out of this cycle. So how do we do it? How do we actually break out of this whole loop? So breaking the stress hormone weight gain loop, basically what we need to do is we need to understand another myth, which is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It is not. In fact, since we introduced breakfast, we have become more obese than ever. We are not designed by nature to have 3 meals a day plus snacks. In fact, some of the latest research is showing that we're having between 6 and 10 meals a day now. The problem with that is that when you eat, you are upregulating that insulin. You're signaling the body to store fat. And the body's never having an opportunity for that glucose to drop, for us to go into our glycogen stored, which is the stored sugar in our muscles and liver. And when that depletes, then we're able to go into that fat burning mode. That's when we switch into that fat burning mode to produce ketones to activate the stored fat. At the moment, we're eating all these meals and eating the wrong types of foods and eating them at the wrong time. And what's happening is we're going into this massive fat storage mode because we're never signaling the body to go, hey, right, now's the time to go into those energy reserves. So basically what intermittent fasting is, and you may have heard about this, intermittent fasting is where you basically eat between a 6 to 8 hour window over 24 hours. That means if I was to start eating at midday, I'd finish at 6 to 8 p.m. at the end of the day. The difference and why that works why that works, and I've done that myself for over 20 years. The reason why that works is that you end up being able to get your blood sugar low. You get that glucose low, that insulin low, the body calms down, it's no longer in that store fat mode, and it enables you to go into your energy reserves. Not only that, you actually feel fantastic. You have a lot more mental clarity. Your energy becomes a lot more stable across the day. So basically what happens when you combine that with this nutritional ketogenic state that I was mentioning before, when it's combined with fat cycling, that's the key, is that it stimulates something called human growth hormone. And human growth hormone actually protects against muscle loss. When you go into a normal calorie deficient diet, the body ends up needing glucose because you're still glucose adapted, your body's still running on sugar. And so what it will do is it will go into the muscle, and it will take the protein out of the muscle into the liver in a process called gluconeogenesis, and it converts that into sugar so that you've got sugar to fuel on, right? Because you're sugar adapted, not fat adapted. And that is one of the problems. But when you go into this state, this human growth hormone kicks in, and it protects against muscle loss. It protects against that. And human growth hormone is an anti-aging hormone, girls, and I know you want that. So anyway, make sure that you make a comment in the live. I can see lots of comments coming through. Hi everyone. Hi. And I can send you some more information on this stuff and tell you exactly how you can break out of that cycle. And in a minute, I'm going to share something really exciting with you. The other side to this is that it actually creates something, it upregulates something called noradrenaline, which protects your metabolism, so you don't have this drop in metabolism. It also increases nourishment. It enables the body to put these healing foods in when you know what to eat and when to eat. And also we've got to address these things something called the microbiome, really looking at gut and digestive health. How are you actually absorbing nutrients? Because that's another critical factor. So many people in the world now are malabsorbing nutrients, which is leading to even more of a chronic problem. But the other side to this, when you practice intermittent fasting with fat cycling nutritional ketosis, is that it squashes inflammation. So if you have arthritis, aches and pains, feeling old, all of those things, this is the fastest way. I guarantee within 1 week of eating this way, you will kill and destroy that inflammation. The secret though, what's the secret? The secret is to know what to eat and when to eat it, okay? So intermittent fasting and this fat cycling ketogenic diet, which is something that I've created over the last 20 years, it basically comes down to meal timing. And basically I've got this really cool little equation that summarizes just what I've said to you, is that intermittent fasting basically lowers glucose, which then enables the body to go into its glycogen stores in the muscles and liver, and then it's able to start producing something called ketones, or these ketone bodies, which the brain loves, by the way, I mentioned that before, and it also increases your fat burning mode, so it switches on fat burning mode. Doesn't it make sense that if you want to lose fat, you actually have to burn fat as fuel? It just makes sense. So when you combine meal timing with this fat cycling, which is basically understanding, this is where calories can play a factor, right? Because when you understand the energy that is going into the body in terms of the macronutrients, and you combine that, really understand the right amount of fat intake, you can actually become fat adapted to burn these ketones. Now, your body is either when you're in this nutritional ketogenic state, your body's either going to burn stored fat, or it's going to use dietary fat. Those are the two components that make up these ketone bodies. So the problem with most ketogenic diets out there that these bodybuilders and other people are promoting is that you're not going to lose fat doing that, because if you're eating massive amounts of fat, which is not that healthy for you, if you're eating lots of fat just to get your body into this ketogenic state, your body's not going to, it's going to take the dietary fat over the stored fat. So you've got to know when to eat what types of fat to switch on the fat burning mode, utilizing your own body stores. Okay, so basically what happens when you combine meal timing, understand fat cycling, is that you get optimal weight loss and metabolism, and over time your body set point actually it decreases. You're retraining your body, you're coming down. So you're probably going, who is this woman? What does she know? I just thought I should probably introduce myself if you haven't heard of me. I have 24 years clinical experience in natural health as a weight loss coach and as a life coach. I'm also a strategic interventionist, so I use mind and body. I have 20,000 clinical hours experience in this very subject. And not only that, regardless of my my qualifications and things like that, I've been eating this way for over 18 years myself, and I have been pretty much ketogenic for about 80% of the last 18 years. So I have completely primed my body this way. I know that this works. Not only that, I've helped thousands of women, like literally thousands and thousands of women are in my groups and my programs online in over 48 countries around the world, and I know through my communities how effective and brilliant and amazing this strategy is in terms of getting you out of that cycle, making you feel alive again, and really mastering, getting off that yo-yo dieting cycle and really mastering your own body and your own health, because that's what we want, right? The other side of it is that I am a published author of a very significant dietary study around Parkinson's, and next year I'm so excited. I'm going to be doing a massive trial in Alzheimer's as well, looking at the ketogenic diet. And the effects for Alzheimer's, because not only is this a great way of losing weight when you know what to do and understand fat cycling, it is neurologically one of the best ways to fuel our body by far. So anyway, so what do I know? That's what I know. You know, I don't really usually get into that type of stuff, but I'm telling you that because I have the experience to really be able to help you break out of the cycle. So what I've created is I've created something really super exciting, because I have these big online programs and coaching, and I do retreats, you know, internationally and things like that, that sell out, and massive events around the world. But to me, it's like, how can I get it to the people that really need it? How can I make this program and this information accessible to everybody? So I have created something called a 30-day reset plan, and I want to tell you exactly what that is, if you just give me a minute of your time. And if you want to know all the details about that and more information on what I've told you, please make a comment in the feed, and I'll send you some information straight to your inbox in Messenger. But basically, my 30-day reset plan, what it does is it breaks that stress hormone weight gain loop, and it actually switches your body over from store fat mode into burn fat mode. It actually helps you do that, and it breaks insulin resistance literally within weeks. So if you are a type 2 diabetic, within 2 to 3 weeks you can completely reverse type 2 diabetes. We know that it is not a permanent diagnosis. That is something that is actually curable. You can reverse that very safely and very easily, and very fast and effectively as well. So there is no starvation, because if you're going to change the way you eat, we don't want to be starving our way through and go, oh my God, am I going to have to eat rabbit food and stuff like that? No, it's nothing like that. You can actually just completely switch off that signal ghrelin to the brain very effectively. This also protects against metabolism and thyroid. It stimulates human growth hormone, which protects your muscle against muscle loss. And actually, what it does is it increases your muscle growth capability. This actually really does make you younger, this diet. The beautiful side is there are no gimmicks here. There's no pills or potions or anything you've got to take. There's nothing special. In fact, everything to do the reset plan is found at your local supermarket. It's just food. It's just natural foods. You just got to know what to eat and when to eat it, right? What it does is it super boosts that mitochondria production, which is what I talked about earlier. Mitochondria is the battery powerhouse. It's what makes you feel alive. It keeps you young and vital, and protects against aging. But basically what it does is, when this program leads to more what's called beige and brown fat, and I can't explain that now, but basically what it is that your body then goes into just this fat burning mode all the time. So your metabolism's kind of revved up, and everything's fantastic. This is an extremely powerful anti-inflammatory diet. this is why it's just so important. And not only that, it's designed for women of all ages, including menopause. I have over 5,000 menopausal women in one of my programs, and they have just all completely reversed their stubborn weight gain and completely rebalanced their hormones. A lot of them have come off HRT and massive improvements in their symptoms of menopause as well. So this works for all ages. It's not just a program that is going to work for the young, it works for everybody. So basically what it does is it breaks the pattern of yo-yo dieting and resets your body set point. That's what you want, because you don't want to go on another blinking program that when you go off it, your body's just going to rebound straight back to that. So what I've done is I've created something called my 30 days one dress size challenge, and I'd love to invite you to be a part of this. It's literally going to have thousands of women in this program. We launched this a year or two ago, and it's been hugely successful. This January just gone, we had well over 1,000 women in this program, and it was just so successful that I wanted to be able to offer it to you again. And the reason for that is that it's important to me that I make this information accessible to you, and that you're able to kind of join in and get the most out of this, because my programs are usually hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and I know that not everybody can afford that, and also you may not know whether it's for you or not, so why not try it? So what I've done is I've put together this 30 days one dress size challenge. It basically includes a full nutrition plan, a personalized weight loss tracker and food diary. You get full support, okay? What we do is we create a community in a closed Facebook group. I have my team, I have staff all around the world, and we're in there 24/7 supporting you, loving you, holding your hand, and being present with you and helping you actually through this process. We're not just giving you a book and telling you to go away and do it on your own. I'm extremely involved in that. I will show up and do Facebook Lives every week to answer your questions and be there to support you as well. So we give you all the tools that you need, and you also get a personalised, through Messenger, I'll send you personalised daily inspiration throughout that 30-day process to keep you on track and to give you that extra love and support that I know that you need. Any lifestyle change is pretty scary, right? And you've got to make sure that you have all the tools and the love and support of a community to be able to do that. So at the moment, what I've decided to do is launch this challenge, and it's only $47, and it's 47 USD, and basically what it means is that it's giving you everything you need, all the tools that you need, and just commit for 30 days. It's just for 30 days. If you can give me that, I can hold your hand and show you exactly how to come off this yo-yo dieting cycle and master your hormones. And I'm on a mission. I promise you that this works. My whole life is devoted to this. I'm so passionate about it, and it's my mission to inspire 1 million women around the world to change their lives through mastering what they eat. But not only that, you're probably thinking, oh, well, that sounds great, but hang on a minute. What about this, right? Because I know, actually have a look at this. Can you relate to this? Can you relate? The inner critic and the inner coach. I had a lot of fun filming this. I got to dress up as the devil and the angel. It was a lot of fun. And I can see your comments coming through. Thanks, girls. So you can relate to this. I have studied human needs psychology for 20 years, and the reason for that is that if our mind is not aligned with the bigger vision for our life, then it doesn't matter what we eat or what kind of changes we attempt to make to our physical body. The mind's going to keep us unstuck. We're going to kind of default back to those old patterns and programs. So basically with my mindset program, I give you some amazing tools to actually switch on those neural pathways in your brain where you go, oh my gosh, I get it now. I get it. This is where I was operating from, and this is what I need to do to overcome self-sabotage, to be able to get rid of that pesky negative voice that keeps triggering my binge eating and taking me off the rails and throwing me off the wagon and things like that. It's absolutely critical. In fact, I've had hundreds of women say to me, Deb, I just did your mindset program without actually starting the diet, and that enabled me, not only, actually people lose weight just by doing that, not even changing what they eat, because they're changing this whole mind-body connection that's going on as well. But not only that, when you ignite that part of the brain and you ignite that inspiration, you attach your goals to a bigger, grander vision for what you actually really, really want in your life, then it's easy. You make this switch in your brain, and you literally switch from, okay, I can't cope with another diet, I can't cope with that, I'm afraid to fail again, this will never work for me. You know, that inner critic just tells us all these just horrible, damaging things. But when you know the right things to do, and it's very simple, if you gave me half an hour of the mindset training, I could ignite in you that switch in your brain where you go, I can do this. I've got this, I'm feeling inspired now. And that's what our incredible community helps do. We have this amazing love and connection in my programs that just, it's like a warm blanket around you that just helps you get super excited about actually doing it. And it's 24/7 support. It's like if you're having a bad day, you come to us and we're there for you. And if you're in the supermarket and you don't know what the heck to buy, you post a question immediately into that group and someone will answer you. It's just the most amazing, amazing resource and amazing community. So I'm going to summarize exactly, and if you make a comment in the thread here, we will send you a link to be able to join the 30-day one dress size challenge. And in our programs, you'll lose at least one dress size if you do what I ask you to do, and you are committed to that process, and you just give me 30 days. And we can all give up 30 days. We can all do that. If you give me 30 days and let me hold your hand through this process, and my team and I and our community help inspire that change in you, you will lose at least one dress size. You know, many women lose a lot more than that. So if you make a comment here, we'll send you the information about that. But basically what it is you've got the 30 days one dress size challenge, and what I'm going to give you is the full nutrition plan, exactly what to eat. I've got recipes of delicious things, and this is not a starvation diet. Remember, this is not calorie restriction. This has waffles and muffins and desserts and chia puddings and beautiful, beautiful salads and just really sexy food. I mean, I'm a big foodie. I'm a writer, you know, I'm a published food writer. So food's got to be good, right? So we give you the full nutrition plan, the personalized weight loss tracker and food diary so that you can monitor and track your results. You get the full support of my team and I. You get a community of thousands of people. And did you know that you're 248%? There is more success. You're 248 times more likely to succeed with the support of a community. So that you're not out on your own doing it. In fact, what's brilliant about these 30-day challenges is that everyone's doing it at the same time. It's so much excitement, so much fun. And you know, when you want to make a change, it's pretty hard to get a friend or your husband or partner to kind of get on board with you. But hey, you've got thousands of women all around the world that are going to do it with you. I'm going to be doing the Facebook Lives and Q&A and give you lots of information and resources to help you through those 30 days. You're going to get personal daily inspiration direct into your messenger. I love this. I love this whole messenger thing, that I'm able to communicate with you and send you inspirational messages and gifts and little chats to just basically keep you on track throughout that whole time. I'm super excited about that. And I'm also going to give you my full kind of mindset program for these 30 days to help you switch on that part of your brain and get you aligned and get you on track and get you motivated and inspired to go, yeah, I've got this. And so you can join right now. We have very, very limited places. We know that this program is going to have thousands of people from all around the world in it. We can't clog the internet and we have limited resources within our team. So we do cap the amount of people that can join the program. So if you would love to click on the link below, I will send you the information on how to join. And basically it's going to be $47. It is nothing. I promise you, you will save that money by not buying your coffees at the cafe, by not buying the junk food, by clean eating. Everyone tells me that they save money eating this way. So it's actually probably really not going to cost you anything. In fact, I think what you've got to gain, I'm so excited about this because I know that this could be hugely life-changing for you, the way that it has changed thousands of women's lives around the world. And that's why I'm just so passionate about getting you on board and getting as many women into our team as possible. I call it, we're gathering the tribe, you know, we're here to love and support each other, and that to me is ultimate human connection, where we're able to really reach out and support each other. And if I have these tools and gifts that I know have helped other women around the world, I want to be able to give them to you, which is why I'm offering all of this for the 30-day challenge for just $47. So if you click on the link, I can see lots of people getting really excited. If you click on the link below, I will send you some information in Messenger, and I really, really do hope you will join me and my team. I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to watch this live, and just thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you in the program and seeing you there and giving you lots more information about all the finer details of what I've been explaining to you today. So thank you. I'm gonna have to go push. My team's gonna say bye, but thanks. I can see all the love coming in. Thanks, guys. See you.